warm welcome to you. It's so good to know you're there. My name is Chioma Okpara. Art and leisure today is a rich package. Of course, as usual, we'll start by inviting a group whose skill at bringing sweet sounds to the ears is legendary. Welcome back. I'm of the opinion that every family should have at least one member who knows how to play a musical instrument. I'm not talking about tambourine or something serious. If you're too busy to learn, let your children learn. You can pay for your grandkids to be taught. If you've retired, oh, you have all the time in the world, you can learn how to play the keyboard or something. Now that brings us to our next report. Stephen Bankole Amodele Rose was a music impresario. His achievements in the arts sector earned him the title Elder Arts Man. He died 6 years ago at the age of 82, but his memory lingers on. Watch this. This is a choice gathering. Prominent people from all walks of life are here for an exhibition which shows the life and times of Steve Rhodes. Steve Rhodes was a veteran broadcaster, musician, and showbiz impresario. For more than 60 years, he produced, managed, created, and advocated for the arts and culture. He trained as a musicologist in Germany. He loved jazz and high life. He played with itinerant bands and followed them on concert tours of Switzerland, Italy, and Germany. He also lived in England. When he came home to Nigeria, he set up the Steve Rhodes Voices.
When you talk about Steve Rhodes, you talk about an institution. In the sense of the contribution is made to the arts and our cultural life. And in terms of the people that he trained, if you go through the whole gamut of the people that passed through the Steve Rhodes Voices, the Steve Rhodes Junior Orchestra, the Steve Rhodes Intermediate Orchestra, the Steve Rhodes Orchestra, if you go through all that group and you know the people that passed through those organizations, I mean, you're talking of over 500.
The Nobel laureate who declared the exhibition open remembers him fondly.
I had never heard until Steve Rhodes the arrangement of the word Amen. And Yemi and I discussed it at great length, sung by the choir, who then Amen. As a kind of grasp at that word, which I'd never heard in any arrangement. Gloria, remember that Yemi and I would just sit and try to imitate that arrangement and the way the choir sang it. Well, you know what amen is, don't you? I think it's so be it. So shall it be. Well then, the fond memories we have of Steve Rhodes, so shall they be. Amen.
As a veteran broadcaster, Steve Rhodes was the first Nigerian controller of programs at the Western Nigerian Television. He also worked in the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, which later became Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. He died 6 years ago at the age of 82, but he lives in the hearts of many.
My father was a very wise man, very, very wise. He had a way of teaching you things in such a way that they stay, if you know what I mean. So anybody who had anything to do with him always went away with something.
One of the exhibits that I saw was that of the Metamorphosis. And I remember being at that event, his rendition of that famous piece. I did it my own way. I'm glad that he did it his own way, and now that he's departed, that we are all trying to make sure that whatever he did and whatever he left behind remains sustained.
Whilst alive, the elder Artsman, as he was fondly called, had a foundation called the Center for Culture Preservation.
He was very concerned about the fact that our musical culture was dying out. You know, in the olden days, take for example talking drums. The art was handed down from father to son, you know. But with the migration of people coming to the city and things like that, it's no longer like that. And even the making of the drums is no longer done the way it was in the olden days. So he decided that he would set up a foundation that essentially is meant to preserve, promote, and protect our musical culture.
The Center for Culture Preservation has undergone a name change, and it is now known as the Steve Rhodes Foundation.
The foundation is going to carry on what it is that he had started.
Steve Rhodes pioneered the emergence of highly educated personalities on the entertainment scene. He was original, consistent, and tenacious.
There's only one Nigerian who actually deserves to be called an impresario of the arts, and that's Steve Rhodes. I'm not talking of just impresario of music, but impresario of the arts, because this was a man who, for over 6 decades, but let me put it as 7 decades, because before he died in 2008, Uncle Steve was already over 70 on the business. He was the only one that you could say straddled all the arts. I mean, if you talk about music, you talk about theater, talk about film, talk about television, just mention them. I think the other person probably is Wale Soyinka. So we call him the impresarios.
Steve Rhodes' chosen field won him recognition, laurels, and accolades at home and abroad. In life or in death, he remains a legend. If you are in the art world, your achievements will always be talked about. So, leave where you are and come to our world. Now to a much younger person. Odun Orimolade is a lecturer at Yaba College of Technology. She's a wife and mother of 3. I give you that information so that you can appreciate what she's done. It's a mind-blowing exhibition. Take a look. Odun Orimolade's imagination accommodates a lot of things. She titled her solo exhibition, Being and Becoming.
It's actually about overlapping realities. You know how people, to an extent, believe in parallel existences, even if it isn't a belief of an existence. For instance, they say there's reality, there's fantasy, there's life and there's death. What if they're connected and it's one reality? You know how people separate life and death? What if it's not so?
The works are in groups. Covering of the inside is made up of works that speak of overlapping realities.
A lot of the works in this group, they are a metaphor for what goes on under our skin. The only times we probably or possibly get to touch is maybe if you're under some operation or something, and even then you're not conscious. It's an actual reality of what's going on with you, regardless of what is tangible.
Her black and white series is titled Space of Secret.
The idea of space being subjective, being able to birth things. And in the case of black space, it doesn't mean that it's a bad space, because people attribute so many things to the color black, poor color black. But the truth is, it's when you close your eyes, most of the time you see black. And you see black first, then all sorts of things come to your sight. So it is a living space.
Inspiration for this work, What Blood Generates, came from another artist.
His name was Paul Julian. and he came to Africa to study blood. He found out here that we have pygmies, we have giants. He wanted to sort of find out if it had to do with the blood. He wasn't very successful at that. He found out that the blood groups are the same as they are all over the world. You know how you have O positives? You could be dark-skinned and you could be the only person that could help a white person at that point where he needs blood. If you look at the works, you probably notice that I've used white blood cells, red blood cells, a lot of things that we don't think about our blood. I juxtaposed, you know, macroscopic images of things found in the blood. Everything is connected. They're still in sync with the concept of what blood generates. And frankly, they're still at the beginning of my research because I recently started looking into our black hair, and it's become very interesting because I found out that we have black people that grow blonde hair naturally without being albino. The weirdest part of the concept of this and overlapping realities is that hair grows. It grows in different ways, but hair grows. And everyone says hair is dead, but it grows.
Odun's father has passed on, but he remains her hero.
My dad's passed on for quite a few years now. He wrote a lot. He was a very intelligent person. He wrote all the time. He had a room filled with his journals, not just books, things he wrote. I got to my parents' house one day and saw everything out, and my brother was making a bonfire because he wanted to make space. And I just dove in and tried to save everything. But they were burnt, and you'd see the end of a sentence or, you know, the beginning of a paragraph. Not that maybe everything he wrote I understood, no. But those were the only things that had his mind here. No one wants an old notepad. No one is looking for slippers that were worn by someone that has passed away, that are, you know, worn off, the old toothbrush, etc., etc. But these are things that more than the major events in our lives can tell you about that person. We bake cakes all the time to celebrate huge events. So I got cake boards and made collages with my father's writing.
Odun Orimolade is a realist as well as an experimental artist.
The name of the work is Igie Eleso, which loosely translated is a tree with fruit. What I'm referring to with the installation is the idea of myth. I used to think the tree was a myth. The concept of my tree is in season and out. It's all year round. It blooms. If this is what would be termed a figment of my imagination, it still comes back to the question, what if it's reality?
She works with both found and generated materials.
There are just times that I think about something and I know that, oh, this sort of material speaks to what I'm talking about. Some other times the work speaks to itself. For instance, the Sitting at Life, the table piece. The piece needed to incorporate everything that was a part of what is discarded in my personal space.
Performance art is also her forte.
The title of the performance was Plausibility. It's really about how people are open to receiving an idea, regardless of what the other parties might think concerning an idea. It doesn't erase its existence.
Odun is a very intense artist. She's extremely hardworking, and you can see that she can work with any media that comes her way. The qualities of her draftsmanship are very good. And I've always asked this question, I wonder what her dreams are like.
Odun Orimolade is a lecturer, wife and mother. and she still finds time to create. She has participated in many exhibitions. To her, art is life. Odun Orimolade, very contemporary. Go girl! From an artist, let's talk about an engineer who is into playwriting. One of his plays was read at the National Theatre at the instance of the National Troupe of Nigeria. Let's see how it went.
I had no plans to go to the Ibahon River Valley, although I had always wondered why the fuss about Ibahon and her river valley. The mellifluous sun pulled me relentlessly, almost ruthlessly along. Then I heard the voice of a child interject the beautiful sound.
These are students of the University of Lagos performing the play One Kingdom, One Monarch. It was written by Odun Orimolade. He's an engineer but gifted in telling stories through writing. His plays talk about how orderly things were in the past.
I think Nigerians must know where they're coming from so that they can make a good choice of where they want to go. We've got to know our tradition, what we did, how did we rule ourselves before the white man came. Because right now we seem not to know where we're going. So I thought I should write and let people know about our past. We had a beautiful past, we had difficulties, we were able to resolve them. We governed ourselves, even what you call monarchies were quite democratic.
This is a 30th play reading organized by the National Troupe of Nigeria.
We choose plays that have some peculiarities in terms of challenges, in terms of what the audience will learn from it, and what other people will learn from it, or even the playwright. We discovered that we have gone through most of the written plays. Most of the classics have been done, from Shoyinka to Olarotimi and Oshofisa, and all the other plays, Ayem and the rest of them. We have done and overdone them. So we want to encourage new playwrights to come up with new scripts.
Veteran actors came on stage and read to the audience.
What is Okakwo doing here hiding like a squirrel? Come meet a true Okakwo. Better, you will understand. Go ahead, we come with you.
No more Okakwo. Look at the people we found hiding in the bush.
What did they say your name is? They do not know my name.
The essence of play reading is to allow stakeholders critique the work.
The message, of course, will be different from what I have read, but the feeling as an actor, the emotions that comes with it.
Reading a play is one thing. When the blocking comes in, costumes and all of the other things, you enjoy it more.
It's historical, and it's something that, even if we have to do it, it has to be done well. We cannot joke with Benin plays, and Benin people do not joke with their culture.
There is always war in their history. And they are, fighters. And then, of course, it also brings to mind the singing.
I want to thank you for couching very nice sounding words. I had an encounter in this your script, reading nice sounding words with deep and deadly meanings, which may require an actor to do much more than just taking his lines, you know what I'm saying?
School children also came around.
I learned some things, like I heard some places I've not heard before and some languages I've not heard before. This is actually my first time of coming here for a play reading.
It was nice, it was interesting, and I learned about the Benin setting and the Edo play and how they fight and how they speak.
A veteran playwright chaired the occasion.
You are not a great actor because you jumped on stage and did it. It is because you will have hung and shaken and removed all the rough edges. Now, that takes sometimes dreaming, waking up in the morning and saying, no, that thing, I didn't quite do it well. Cut that out. And that's why the 6 weeks you are going to spend rehearsing Each of them is a self-chiseling process.
The National Troupe of Nigeria would like this play to be sponsored.
We know this is a very, very heavy, dated language play, which demands that even whoever is going to direct it must have the aesthetics of the Benin people. Otherwise, it would, to me, it's a director's play.
Engineer Odun Orimolade is from Edo State. He titled his first play, A Crown Denied. One Kingdom, One Monarch is his second play.
We've chosen Western democracy, which is totally alien to our culture. We love families. We live in families and in communities. All right? Western democracy is for individuals. So Nigerians are being asked to select their rulers as individuals, but they are not individuals. They are community and family based. So we should have a selection system that respects our philosophies of life.
Nice to have you back. Hope you enjoyed that. Now to our leisure segment. Some people unwind by playing football. You know, they just relax that way. Nobody pays them for it. Some go to see a movie. There are others that engage in activities that impact lives. I'm going to tell you about a group. They love to dance, they love to sing, but above all, the milk of human kindness flows in them. Watch this. Lions Clubs International is 97 years old this year. Its mission is to help the less privileged. There are over 45,000 clubs and 1.35 million members worldwide. New charters spring up every now and then. Lagos Icon Lions Club is the newest. On this induction day, its 25 members pledged to uphold the tenets of the association.
I do hereby accept membership in the Lagos Icon Lions Club, knowing that such membership encourages me to participate in functions of the club.
Officers that will see to the smooth running of the club also took an oath.
Hereby affirm that I shall perform all my statutory duties as contained in the club officers manual to the best of my ability.
Lion Princess Anne Mary Obikansi is the president of the Lagos Icon Lions Club.
Due to the effects of leadership in Lionism, she has been traveling up and down, international and local. In the course of this time, for the next Lions year, I want you all to please affirm that you are prepared to release her to service of humanity during this time. Are you prepared to release her to serve?
You will use this with caution. You will use this to call your meetings to order. You will use it wisely. God will grant you the grace to do that successfully.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is why we're here this evening. This is what is called the Charter of a New Club. Comes in that charter certificate. Comes in from our international headquarters in Oakbrook and marks the birth of a new club. And with this charter certificate, they're empowered to perform all of the union of Lionism throughout their lifetime. So, may I now invite our leaders to please join me in presenting this to the charter president and indeed the club leadership. The brand new charter president of Lagos Icon Lions Club. You know, you're going to call this order with this double and gun. You're going to control your club. Please do it, like I said earlier on, with humility and decency, but with firmness as well. So please demonstrate to us how you're going to do that at the club level. Demonstrate to us. Demonstrate.
What time is it? At this time of the day, and I call this meeting to order.
Thereafter, every member of the new charter was decorated with a badge. The new charter is off to a good start.
Our plan is to plan some cataract operation, about 5, cornea operation, and cataract operations, 20, and to give 100 medicated eyeglasses to the needy, to those people who are out there, who are supposed to be using glasses and they cannot see road, and nobody to help them, and we have to come to their aid.
Lions believe that everyone deserves to see.
The main objective of establishing Lions Club then was for the blind to see. That was the main objective. And we cannot deviate from that, the main objective that was introduced to the world. And that is why we are focusing on surgery, on making the blind to see. And glaucoma, whatever, anything that has to do with eye problem.
Professor Razaki Ojobakare, the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Federal University, Oye-Ekiti, made some insightful points.
You have 485,000 adults in Nigeria waiting for cataract surgery in 2014, and they cannot find help. Why? Because most of them are poor. Second to poverty is lack of information.
In this club, charters are encouraged to reproduce. Lagos Unique Lions Club gave birth to this new charter.
They have been together, they are friends. Having recognized them, we encourage them. We guided them, and that is why we are the guiding and the sponsoring club.
In 2016, there will be an investiture, and Lion Princess Anne Mary Obikansi will hand over to the second vice president of the charter.
Lion Club is known to have a good succession plan and a proper structure. So the way the structure is such that as we have after the president, you have the first vice and the second vice. And it means by noting these people in advance, one is to get them prepared for their own tenure. At the same time, they serve as assistant, that's approved assistants to the president.
Lions Clubs International is known for integrity and transparency.
Lions Club is an international association that caters for the less privileged members of the society. It is said that the hand of the giver is always on top. We equally know that quite a number of people in the society can afford 3 square meals a day. But several of our people cannot afford just 1 meal in their mouth or their family. So it behoves on you, as somebody who can easily afford 3 meals, to part with 1 meal to give to that person or family who cannot afford just 1.
Wow, we've come to the end of today's edition. That's how we do it every week on Art and Leisure. I hope we inspired you today. By God's grace, this program returns in 7 days' time. You can watch my episodes online on www.artandleisure.com.ng. My name is Chioma Okpara. Love yourself, love Nigeria.